Hello everyone, my name is Tim Buell and I'm here to introduce the very first series of my brand, Nostalgia. This series is going to be all about recipe development. I'm going to be making recipes that have been in my head since I even started cooking. Many years of just thinking on these ideas and never actually doing them. So I'm really excited to actually start this process. Maybe these ideas could be on a menu one day, who knows? But today, we're starting off with chocolate cake. I've never even made a chocolate cake in my life. I've made carrot cake, I've made red velvet cake, but I've never just made a true chocolate cake. I'm not doing that today either. Today I'm infusing this cake with szechuan peppercorns. And I'm gonna explain my reasoning behind that, why I think it's gonna be exciting, and all that and more on this very first episode of Recipe Development. So thank you for tuning in. Chocolate cake, delicious, Americana at its finest. But there's a lot of things that go into it that people just love for many reasons. It just has this amazing texture, chocolate on chocolate, this amazing flavor, the structure to it. It's all just the definition of enjoying yourself. And that's why I love nostalgia in the first place. It's these comfort foods that never really go away. So I want to explain how my recipe came about today. It's inspired by Stella Parks, who wrote this book, Brave Tart, where she explains all of these different kind of American desserts and really exciting things, explaining candy bars and the like, about how they came to be and why they came to be. So I'm using a version of her chocolate cake recipe and frosting as well. So I just want to shout out to her. Thanks for the advice in the first place. But again, with this disclaimer, I can't guarantee that this recipe is even gonna work. I'll post the recipe later. But first I wanna see kind of what happens here. And I'm infusing it with szechuan peppercorns because I want it to be the final bite of a menu and I want it to blow you away. I want you to leave excited about coming back. And I don't think there's any better way to do that than a spicy chocolate cake. So szechuan peppercorns have this amazing numbing feeling to them where they just completely overwhelm your mouth with a numbing, spicy sensation. So I want to pair that with something really rich and decadent like a chocolate cake. And I'm going to infuse it in the coffee that goes into this cake and also into the chocolate in the frosting. So it's going to be all over the place. And on the menu, it's going to read Death by Chocolate. So you're going to leave this meal feeling like you were just blown away and you're never going to know quite what to expect next. So with these peppercorns, I had them toasted and ground before we started here today, just so it was easier to film. But I'm just gonna wing it here. I have no idea how much to put in this cake to actually make it taste good. So we're just gonna wing it. So first off, in the recipe, we have to heat our butter and coffee. And I got my coffee today from Linea Coffee in the Mission District of San Francisco. Shout out to them. And with this today, I say go out and support your local coffee maker and just give them your business rather than pouring Folgers or whatever. Everyone can use your business at this time. But I have my oven set to 350. I've greased and lined my cake pans here. All the pastry chefs, this is what I think it means to grease and line. Apologies to you if I completely bastardized that, but you know, sorry in advance. But I'm melting my coffee and butter here over low heat. And after that, we're then gonna whisk in the cocoa, the chocolate, and the sugar, vanilla, salt, eggs, and all that. So we're just slowly melting this butter and coffee here. In the meantime, I'm gonna chop my dark chocolate here. This is 70% dark chocolate. I'll have the brand in the recipe down below, but you're gonna use your worst possible knife to chop chocolate. The reason is, it's pretty rough to chop chocolate with a fine blade, like a Japanese blade. So you wanna use like a heavy German knife, but you know, any basic knife you have in your pantry to chop chocolate, the best. And with these recipe development series, I'm really trying to gear the audience in the direction of mostly professional chefs and casual cooks can watch as well. I just don't feel it necessary to explain all the things I'm doing in the recipe, and I kind of want to explain more of the reason behind each recipe rather than like explaining what knife to use to chop chocolate. I can do mini series based on those kind of things for amateur cooks, but this series is really geared more towards the professional cook and kind of explaining how our recipes come to fruition. So my chocolate's all chopped. Now inside this coffee and butter mixture, I want to do 1 full tablespoon of ground Szechuan peppercorns. Now the really cool part about Szechuan peppercorns, I think, is that they just have this crazy aroma. It's the aroma of like cumin and coriander put together, but just with these toasty floral aromatics that overtake everything you're doing. And I really want that to be the focus of this dish. I really want it to come out in the end. So I'm putting more than maybe I should, but we're gonna taste it and find out all in the end. The first time I ever ate Szechuan peppercorns was at the Culinary Institute of America, and it was a steak, and it was cuisines of Europe. And in this course, you're supposed to cook a black pepper encrusted steak. Now that sounds delicious, right? But what this cook did at school would crust the entire steak in Szechuan peppercorns, not black peppercorns. This is not a good thing to do. Okay, so our coffee Szechuan butter is all melted, and now we're ready to whisk in all of the other ingredients. So I'm just gonna get it slightly warm, slightly melted, then I'm gonna whisk in this chocolate, this cocoa powder, cocoa and chocolate first. Whisking that in. So it's melted. Then we're gonna add the vanilla. My brown sugar and salt is here. Interesting that this recipe is all brown sugar. I just think that adds another whole new level of deliciousness from Stella. So in go our yolks and egg yolks already separated. Now Stella's recipe calls for 8x3 cake pans. I don't have those. I have about 1x6 or 7. So I'm gonna do 1/3 of the amount of cake batter in each pan, just based off instinct. No reasoning behind that. I could be wrong. That's one of these moments where if I had more experience, I would know. But that's what the series is gonna be all about finding those really cool things that I will come to learn and gain from throughout this time. So our eggs are all whisked in. This is my baking soda and flour already sifted. I'm gonna mix that in. I don't think I'm gonna whisk that. I think I'm just gonna mix that with the spatula I have here. Amazing chocolatey color to it that I think is gonna be really, really awesome. You know, I kind of pick up on that floral aspect of the Szechuan. I'm gonna add a little bit more because I do, once again, really want it to taste like it. Let's call it another 1/2 tablespoon here. So in those 8x3 pans that she does, she calls for about 23 ounces of batter per pan. See the batter here. I think we're ready to go. That's it. So I got my grease pans here, I got my scale. I'm gonna weigh out approximately 7 to 8 ounces of batter. Let's call it 8. I tasted the batter. You get those floral notes from the Szechuan, which is really, really what I'm looking for here. You don't get much of the numbing feeling. So what I'm actually gonna do is sprinkle some Szechuan over each cake. Just to really make sure that it's gonna get in there. Don't call me crazy yet. Not yet. More to come. We're gonna go bake these in the oven, and then we're gonna make the chocolate right after that. All right, so I got my oven set. We're ready to go. We got the cakes here. Let's do it. There's my parchment ones, because I don't know if they're right. And there's my regular ones, because I think they look better. Cakes going in. Szechuan cake. All right, here we go. I'm gonna be back in 10 minutes to check these out, and I'll show you what they look like. All right, here's our Szechuan cake. We'll let it cool down, then we're gonna get that frosting going. All right, so my cream is simmering around the sides. Just bringing it up. Make sure you keep stirring it so it doesn't scald. I'm gonna add in another, call it tablespoon and a half of Szechuan. I got my chocolate chopped over here. We're gonna take this and then we're gonna add it to the chocolate. Okay, so I got my Szechuan peppercorns mixed into the cream here. We're gonna pour it over the milk chocolate. Whisk my hand until it's fully incorporated. Now we're gonna stir in the salt here. 1/4 tablespoon. Again, I want it to be a little savory, so we're good there. I'm gonna try this now to see if the Szechuan flavor is enough. I want more. I want that numbing. It's not getting it yet. There's another teaspoon. Let's go another 2 teaspoons. Let's go crazy here. So this part I'm not sure I even really want to put on the internet, but you know, I'm gonna do it, but it's probably gonna come back to haunt me later. So first we're gonna trim our cakes nice and evenly. I mean, that's what, evenly, but you know, who knows? See, that's not even at all. It's breaking apart. It's a little dry. But this is what we do it for. We do to have fun along the way. See if our ideas actually work. Maybe one day I'll have a pastry chef on staff who can actually make chocolate cake, but for now, that's what we're gonna go with. I got my frosting here. Now I know typically you use a palette knife. But this is me for the first time ever, second time ever, decorating a cake. Now, you are allowed to make fun of me in this recipe development series. That is the best part about this. And let me just say, I didn't look up many videos how to decorate cakes beforehand. I'm winging it. But I'm okay with it. Now the problem is I realized, I think you're supposed to decorate the sides first and then go back around with the buttercream, but you know, This isn't even buttercream, so like I said, we're winging it. Hopefully I don't drop the cake when I transfer it here. It's okay. Quick wipe down. The problem is, I don't even know if I have enough frosting to decorate the side of this cake, but it's gonna be great. Not done, not done. You're allowed to make fun of me. I don't mind. It could look worse. I'm not saying it looks good. But I am saying it could look worse. First R&D series. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm sitting here eating Szechuan encrusted cake. I think it looks pretty nice. It could be better. It could taste better probably, but I'm happy that I got in here. We developed this. All right, everyone, it's the moment we've been waiting for. I'm about to try this cake that I just made. I'm a little nervous. I think it's gonna taste good. I didn't put in the video, but I topped it off with some sour cherries that Lazy Bear preserved. They're almost 2 years old at this point, but I think it's really gonna complement the Szechuan flavors in this cake. And I'm pretty excited to try it. I know it's not gonna be the best that it can be, but I'm excited nonetheless. Here we go. Okay, not bad, first time. It's time to eat. Szechuan chocolate, milk chocolate, Szechuan frosting, brandy cherries, chocolate cake. First ever chocolate cake made. Let's see how it tastes. Szechuan flavors there. The cake is a little dry, like I said, but the brandies kind of cut that richness of the cake. The cherries. Damn. Take a bite of cherry, take a bite of cake. I'm really happy I finally tried this. I'm glad I got to share it with everyone out there. Hopefully one day you'll be eating something like this in my restaurant. Thank you. Hey everyone. So I just wanted to check in and kind of lay out how I come up with recipes and even why in the first place. And I have this book. I bought this in around 2014, and I've just written really random recipes in it. Or just not even recipes, just things that I thought would be really cool. And this Death by Chocolate cake is one of the first ideas I ever had to really shock people at the end of a meal. And I think that's the most important thing in dessert or in pastry. I'm not a pastry chef, but whenever I eat a meal, tasting menu or whatever, I want to be blown away at the end of the meal. I want it to seem like nothing else mattered. That final bite was the bite that mattered the most. And I think a cake that would absolutely shock your system would be the coolest way to impart that. So I have my original drawing here, Death by Chocolate. It's not quite what it's gonna be today, but My colleague, Chef Kim Conroy, the pastry chef here at Lazy Bear, recommended more sugar in the recipe. So I'll give that a shot the next time, but overall I think it was a pretty cool process today.